What's up, guys? I'm Ozzy, and this is Bottled and Bond. Alright, guys, so welcome back to Bottled and Bond. Wow, what a crazy trip. Going down to Jacksonville, North Carolina the day prior to Thanksgiving is a huge mistake. And coming back up to Stafford, Virginia on the Sunday before the next working day is a huge mistake. A 4.5 hour drive took me almost 7 hours. I should have recorded this video and posted it on Sunday and just call it Sunday Madness. Thank you to all you great drivers out there. Anyways, guys, welcome back to another episode of Monday Madness. And today we are going to be diving in to another North Carolina distillery, that being Doc Porter's Bourbon. Now, Doc Porter is a distillery from Charlotte, North Carolina, and they distill bourbon, vodka, gin, and rye, to my knowledge. Today specifically we're doing a bourbon, of course, because it's Monday Madness. On today's episode, we're gonna dive in to Doc Porter's Bourbon, cleverly crafted bourbon, North Carolina bourbon whiskey. This specific bottle was given to me by none other than, you already know, the Wiffle Bat. Thanks, love. Now, this is batch number 11, distilled and bottled by Doc Porter's Distillery, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, here's a quick little thing that I did learn about Doc Porter's distillery, is they believe in supporting the local farmers. So not only do they source their grains from local farmers, but they also do the entire process from milling the grains and mashing them and distilling them, and of course, aging them and bottling them, which is why they do not rebottle other whiskeys from other bigger manufacturers. Now, Andrew Porter, he is the current master distiller over at Doc Porter's. Now, Doc Porter was the grandfather of Andrew Porter, and after he passed away in 2012 and they were bottling this, they pretty much thought it would be a great fit to name it Doc Porter. Two quick little facts about Doc Porter was that he did serve in the Navy. Thank you for your service. And he was also into fast cars. So be it. Now they're just reliving the family tradition, continuing to bottle these whiskeys and continuing that tradition that Doc Porter, the grandfather, once came up with himself. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and open it up. As I've learned, it's not an easy process. Typical cork with peppery, almost cherry. I don't know the mash bill to Doc Porter's. I wish I did know. Obviously, they're calling it bourbon. You already know that it has to be at least 51% corn. But whether or not what else it has in it, I don't quite know the mash bill itself. It is very peppery and a little sweet. Oh, and there you go. See, sometimes you just have to read. Stay in school, kids. Our bourbon is crafted from scratch using the finest locally sourced North Carolina grains. 60% corn, 30% wheat, 10% malted barley. A little caramel. That stated, a little cherries, Americano cherries, and maybe some brown sugar. This just may be a good try. Oops. So the same notes that I was picking up on the cork, I'm picking them up again. And those were brown sugar, cherries, a little honey, some pepper. I'm picking up apple as well, almost like a cider. Of course, with the bourbons, with good bourbons, you typically pick up the charred barrel oakiness. There's something else I'm picking up, almost like a vanilla. It smells good. I really like bourbon. So one thing about Doc Porter's is that From reading on their website, they do everything in their distillery in Charlotte, North Carolina. And although you can also find it, in the distillery, much like most typical distilleries, they sell their products at their location. You can only find Doc Porters in ABC stores in North and South Carolina. A little strong on the back end. It's a strong pepper that hits you towards the back end. So it does have a little bit of a kick. Good spice. You still pick up a faint cherry vanilla sweetness to it. The cider's almost no longer there. It's very faint. Cinnamon. Sweet cinnamon peppered covered candy. It's about right. I'm pretty sure I stated it was 60% corn, and you can taste it. It's not a typical 51, 52. It's up in the 60s, so the corn is there. But the biggest notes that you are gonna pick up is the peppery, cinnamon, sweet, almost cider-like vanilla / cherries. And it's not a bad bourbon. Definitely one you want to keep stocked in your bar, and maybe share with a few colleagues, and just don't share too much. It's not a bad bourbon. Didn't quite pick up the years you would think. Obviously, for a bourbon, at least 2 years. I didn't pick up the year on this. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research. If you do find out what the year are, the age, they don't make an age statement to my knowledge. So maybe you can pick something up by doing a little bit more research. Nonetheless, Doc Porters for a bourbon, you definitely got my vote. Definitely a recommended bourbon for you guys to have and keep stocked in your bar. Go ahead and give them a try. If you can't find it in your local distilleries, ABC stores, locations, see if you maybe take a trip down there. I've heard from what I've heard in videos that their distillery is a pretty nice tour for you to partake in and sample. Nonetheless, Doc Porters, truly recommended, as I said before. And as I also said before, please, for the love of God, people, learn how to freaking drive. This has been another great episode of Monday Madness. I'm Ozzy, that's Doc Porter's Whiskey, and this is Bottled and Bond. Cheers.